Why you look so depressed?
Girl, nothing happening this season.
Are you kidding? You've never heard about the masquerade of savings at TDC Insurance?
Girl, tell me more.
This season, you'll get up to 60% off your motor insurance premium and up to 30% off your property insurance premium. Plus, you get a chance to win up to $1,500 in TDC gift cards in their masquerade savings raffle.
Some mask? Like a mask? After all, TDCIC keeping us protected. TDCIC, we take good care of you. Guaranteeing you peace of mind.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
At The Cable, we know being local means supporting our own, and our customers deserve the best. Our customers deserve platinum. So now, all customers of The Cable qualify for our new Platinum Loyalty Card. An elite MasterCard experience that lets you support your own like never before. Instantly send money to any Platinum Loyalty member at home or around the world. Shop online or in person anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Save with no interest and 0 annual fees. And the best part? If you're a Cable customer, you are already pre-approved. Just visit the Cable building in Basse-Terre or sign up online at www.thecable.net. Get your Platinum Loyalty Card today because you deserve platinum. Terms and conditions apply.
Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to yet another edition of Inside the News, right here on your radio station, 1FM 98.9. I am your host for today, Devon Cornelius, and this morning is going to be quite different as we will be taking a different approach. You know, we have been talking about COVID-19 and what has been happening throughout the region, but this morning we are going to Jamaica and we are going to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we are going to be hearing from persons on the ground. We are going to be hearing from these persons as to how it is like in these countries with the pandemic. We have been hearing about what has been happening in these countries from the health authorities. We've been hearing from the politicians. We've been hearing from the top officials. We want to hear from the person in the community. We want to hear from, for lack of a better word, the small man, the regular man, the man in the bar. And so we will be touching base with a teacher in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he will be sharing his experience about how it has been since the onset of the pandemic and how it's like right now in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, how the people are reacting to the new normal, and then we will be going all the way over to Jamaica to hear how it has been there. I believe it's a wonderful thing to do because, as I said before, you're hearing from the top officials about, the cases keep rising and the hospitals are being overwhelmed. We want to hear from somebody within the community, and we want to hear, their story. How have you been managing with the pandemic? How have you been coping with the new normal? The question is, how are our Caribbean brothers and sisters coping with the new normal? Some would say we're talking about COVID-19 too much. But again, it's a different angle because we've been hearing from the government officials. We want to hear from someone within the communities. We want to hear from someone in St. Anne, Jamaica. How is the environment there in Jamaica? How is the environment there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? And so we will be hearing from just these two persons this morning, and the discussion will be centered around that. I think it is something that is meaningful in my opinion, because you get to have it's an opportunity for you to get to have a better understanding of what's really happening across the region. For example, if you look at the schools, we've been hearing from the officials that the schools are doing well, and the protocols that we have put in place are working, and this is working and that is working. But we have not heard from the teachers. We have not heard from the students. And in some cases, we have not heard from the parents. And so we will be asking a teacher this morning, how have you been managing with the pandemic? Were you able to continue your classes? Was it hard for you to manage a class of 20 during the pandemic? Did you have proper access to the necessary equipment to continue to teach your students? These are the questions that we will be asking this morning, and I'm very sure that you guys would want to hear what is going to be said and be a part of the discussion. And then, of course, later on in the program, we will open the phone lines and we would allow you to be a part of the discussion. I wish I could add more Caribbean islands, but I was unable to touch base with some of my colleagues in those other islands. But today we will be focusing on Jamaica, and we will be focusing on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're just going to touch base a little bit with what's happening in the international community, and then we're going to come on back down right here into the Caribbean. So again, it's not really any news, but we know what's happening in the United States. Every day the US break their record. Every day they break their record. There are cities with thousands and thousands of cases, and so every day they break their record. And those other countries like Brazil and Europe and England, they break their own record with the number of cases. I wish I could get someone from the UK to say how has it been since the pandemic started? How has it been since the pandemic started? What are some of the changes you had to make to your household? What are some of the changes that you had to make? And I believe hearing from these people and hearing their story, it has more weight to it, or it adds more weight to it. Because again, hearing from the governments across the region about how this was going, how that was going, it's not the same. It's not the same. The interesting part about this whole thing is that both countries, Jamaica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they had recent elections. And so we have my colleague in St. Vincent. He will be speaking about how was the climate, how was the environment, COVID and having an election, all these rallies and public meetings. The same thing in Jamaica. How were you guys able to go about your everyday life during the election season, of course, and manage a whole pandemic? With public meetings being held left, right, and center, rallies and mass gatherings, even though the protocols that have been put in place by the WHO and the other health organizations is that you have to practice social distancing, you have to wear your mask, and you have to follow these protocols to safeguard yourself from the COVID-19 pandemic. So hearing from them and hearing how they managed and how their families managed, how their communities responded, how is the Jamaican populace responding to the pandemic? Are they responding appropriately? How is the populace in St. Vincent responding, and are they responding appropriately? These are some of the questions that we will have answered right here on Inside the News on 1FM 98.9 for those of you who are just tuning in. And I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. We will take a break and we will be right back.
Get more than just VAT. TDC Automotive is giving you more. Pay no VAT on the first
$100,000
on any vehicle. No deposit, no interest for the first 3 months. That's no VAT. No deposit, no interest. We give you more, so you save more. Receive up to $3,000 in cashback credit. Save up to 60% off your insurance premium. Get your personalized TDC token for 2 years of instant savings. Plus, save thousands in free extras. Get more than just VAT from TDC Automotive. We're number one for a reason. Terms and conditions apply.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
At The Cable, we know being local means supporting our own, and our customers deserve the best. Our customers deserve platinum. So now, all customers of The Cable qualify for our new Platinum Loyalty Card. An elite MasterCard experience that lets you support your own like never before. Instantly send money to any Platinum Loyalty member at home or around the world. Shop online or in person anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Save with no interest and 0 annual fees. And the best part? If you're a Cable customer, you are already pre-approved. Just visit the Cable building in Basse-Terre or sign up online at www.thecable.net. Get your Platinum Loyalty Card today because you deserve platinum. Terms and conditions apply.
Yes, good morning and welcome back to Inside the News right here on WinFM 98.9. I am your host, Devon Cornelius, and I just remembered I forgot to say good morning to all my good people out there. You know who you are. A special, pleasant morning is wished to you. I hope that you guys are having a very good day. Good morning to you, Mrs. Henry. I hope you're listening. I hope you're having a fantastic Saturday. And good morning to all the hard-working people out there and to all the hardly working people out there. You know, we appreciate you. We still appreciate you. Good morning, and thank you guys so much for tuning in to WinFM 98.9 for another program of Inside the News, another edition of Inside the News for Saturday, December 5th, 2020. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and yesterday we will be asking that question. How are our Caribbean brothers and sisters coping with the new normal? And we will not just be asking these questions, or that question rather. We will be going to Jamaica this morning, and we will be going to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to hear from persons on the ground. We will be hearing from persons on the ground how it has been since the pandemic started in early March. I think it was around mid-March is when this whole thing came about. And so it's more of a heavier story to tell when you hear it from someone on the ground. Someone from the school, someone from the hotel. How is it now with the borders being opened and, you know, tourists coming in from hot spots, high-risk destinations? High-risk destinations. If you look at St. Vincent right now, St. Vincent has about 87 cases of the coronavirus and 81 recovered. However, they have 0 deaths. So 87 cases in St. Vincent, 81 persons recovered, and 0 deaths. Jamaica, which is a larger country recorded 10,909 cases, 6,614 persons recovered, and 259 persons died from COVID-19 in Jamaica. So, our Caribbean brothers and sisters are trying their best to cope with the new normal. They're trying their best to live with what's happening around us. And every day, our health authorities in the Caribbean nations, they're trying to understand this whole pandemic, this whole COVID-19 situation. Because every day it evolves and it grows and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Every day there's something new. The CDC, they just announced recently that they reduced the quarantine time. I think it's now to just 5 days. So it's no longer the 14-day period. They reduced the quarantine time. So every day, in my opinion, I think the virus is evolving and new things are happening with this whole COVID-19 situation. But again, it's, as I have said and I will continue to say, it is a personal responsibility. What are you doing to safeguard yourself? What are you doing to make sure that you are safe from the virus? What are you doing? So as we wait for our first guest to join us from Jamaica, I think we will go to St. Vincent first, and we will hear from my colleague over there in St. Vincent as to how they are doing with the pandemic. How are you coping over there, and what are some of the changes the government in St. Vincent have made to safeguard the people of St. Vincent from the whole COVID-19 situation? This person is a teacher, and he will be speaking about some of the changes, how have they adapted to the whole situation. And then after that, we will go to Jamaica to hear from my counterpart over there, my colleague. So we'll have that person from St. Vincent. His name is Odion Hillocks, and he is a teacher in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
So in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, when COVID struck, which would have been in about the third week of March, the first measure was really to just lock down schools, and I am a teacher, so that brought a drastic change to my daily operations. Luckily, for my school, we have a management information system in place, so it made the transition to online, remote teaching rather, remote teaching and learning made that transition a little easier than the rest schools, because I know for some schools they essentially went through the entire third term without having any connectivity to a lot of their students, because at that time in March you're just coming off of the second term, you're about to end the second term and go for a week or two in breaks, and then you come back for your third term. But a lot of schools weren't able to do that because they didn't have the systems in place. So a lot of teachers just adopted ad hoc methods, whether it be assigning material through WhatsApp, some using Zoom, some using Google Meet. Some schools were on the way already to transition to setting up an e-learning platform. So we know that we had a group of the Roman Catholic schools who had access to Moodle. Some of the schools who went on and purchased obtained the G Suite, so they had Google Classroom and those things. So my school took that approach, and we were able to have I would say majority of our students well engaged, especially the senior forms, the form 4 and 5 students. They were able to frequently come to class, and we were able to sometime in the third term transition completely to Google Classroom, because as I said in the beginning, we did a lot of ad hoc procedures where we would use Zoom in classes, and we would have the timetable the timetable running in such a way that it worked with the 40-minute periods that the free Zoom account would have allotted you. And that was because we had to ensure that the Form 5s got their revision done, especially when they got the extension, if you want to call it that, the extension or the postponement of the CSEC examinations. And gradually, our country was essentially locked out rather than we had a lockdown, because most of our neighboring countries applied their lockdown. We never really said that our airport was closed, right? So it was just a matter that other countries had already closed their borders, so there was no one really flying. And up until this day, we have never really said that we closed our borders. And from that time in around June coming down, I would say that we essentially managed it well. I don't recall having too many cases at once. We still have the cases that come on a weekly basis, but those come from the international countries, the high risk countries. As I said, we never really closed the borders, but we implemented procedures, as the prime minister say. He followed the science, right? Well, the persons who were recommending followed the science, the CMO, etc. And so, for example, the protocols have changed ever so often to adopt to the level of threat that we're facing. So right now, I think we only have a 5-day mandatory stay in an approved hotel facility, and then the incoming persons are allowed to go to a residential place, and do the additional 9 to 14 days. Um, as it relates to, well, we know we had the CARICOM bubble, which some persons benefited from, where they would have just come and did their test and just had to stay home for a mandatory 24 to 48 hours just to confirm the tests. So, really and truly, recently, since we had somewhat of a lockdown in the country itself in terms of the shutting our parties and that kind of stuff. And that would have been lifted, I can't remember exactly when, but that would have been lifted sometime in, I want to believe it was sometime in September. And from then, it's just been everything really picking back up from August, September, year thereabout. And things have been picking up then. And we kind of, right now, we are actually operating as normal in my eyes. We are back to school. We know countries like St. Lucia would have gone back online. We are out of school in full time. We Parties are happening again. As you know, we just had elections, and there were a bunch of election activities and conventions and what's not. And persons, I dare say that the fear of COVID has has been somewhat relieved off of some persons. There are only certain business places that enforce the mask policy for entering the business place. But for the most part, it really seems that like a lot of persons are just living back to normal here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And while it is good to see people um, doing living as normal, I think we need to remember that this pandemic is not over. In fact, we see the US breaking its own record on a daily basis, and because we're not locked down, our borders are not locked down. We still have flights from that country coming ever so often, and we really depend on the persons coming to be very responsible after the 5 days, because we know about the disease, and we know about how symptoms can not show up for a certain amount of time. And so the 5 days that they're doing the test within, after being in that mandatory um, approved hotel facility, persons need to be responsible afterwards for staying home for the next 9 to 14 days. So we have taken some responsibility by having them placed in these facilities for the first 5 days, and then we somewhat pass the responsibility onto the persons to ensure that they keep our other citizens safe. And the results right now, the test results would say that method is working for us. And as I said, persons are really living, in my opinion, basically normal here in Simmons and the Grenadines. So we just continue to monitor the situation, and again, based on the words of the Prime Minister, we will follow the science if the situation changes.
That was Odion Hillex. He's a teacher in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he was sharing his experience about the whole COVID-19 situation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and how it has been. And so you were able to hear, what the experience was like in St. Vincent and what is happening down there. We will now be going to Jamaica, and we will be hearing from Jahim Llewellyn. She is from Jamaica, and she will be sharing her experience and how it has been in Jamaica since the onset of the pandemic. Again, I think it's better to hear from our people on the ground rather than hearing from the top officials and the politicians and the health people. But we want to hear from those persons within the communities as to how it is like in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Jamaica, and our neighboring Caribbean islands. Good morning, Jahim. Are you hearing me?
Yes, Devon, good morning. I'm hearing you well.
Awesome. Good morning. And how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not bad at all. Since the onset of the pandemic, so many things have happened right here in St. Kitts and Nevis, but I think we're doing fairly well, and we have been, managing with the pandemic. But what about Jamaica? What are you guys doing in Jamaica?
Well, I mean, since the onset of the pandemic, we really a couple months ago, since the election, really started seeing the numbers spiking. We can't exactly blame the elections though for being the reason that that the cases are spiking. But right now, as it is, we have just under 11,000 cases, and what we really have to do is just work with what the government is saying. There's protocols being put in place, like the wearing of masks is mandatory now in all public spaces. There's an island-wide nightly curfew. It has been stipulated by the government too that public gatherings should not exceed 15 persons at any given time. And with the upcoming holiday period, he's also said, the Prime Minister, that is, has also said that there shouldn't be any more than 15 persons, even for private gatherings. Now, as the numbers continue to grow, the government is in fact trying its best to keep the virus under control, but it's kind of up to us, the people, to actually get it to work. We still have to work with them. And the real problem, I think, is arrogance as opposed to ignorance, because it's not like the information isn't available for people to know what is going on. It's just that there are always going to be persons that think they know better than the government and they know what is best for them, so they won't follow certain protocols. And that is really what is giving us a real beating right now.
Right. And I agree with you, because we hear of the similar cases across the region where, the governments across the region as a whole, they are doing their best the health authorities are providing necessary information for persons to safeguard themselves from the COVID-19. But then you have those persons who they don't care, and they don't believe the virus is real. They don't believe the virus is serious. And even if you look into the international community, in the United States, in the United Kingdom, persons are taking the pandemic very lightly. But you spoke about Jamaica's recent election. What I wanted to ask, do you think the Jamaican populace responded appropriately to the pandemic in terms of, social gatherings? And you mentioned that the Prime Minister or the government put in place, I think you said 15 persons, the maximum for social gatherings. But with the recent election, how was it then, and how did persons respond to that?
You see, well, the thing is, with an election, Devon, you really won't be able to avoid crowds and so forth. But there was adequate, from what I could see, there was adequate amount of social distancing. There were people wearing their masks just the same, and there was adherence to it. In that, like from the way I see it, there was a good amount of adherence to it. There were crowds, I will give that to you. There were crowds right across the island, people celebrating, people coming together. It was one of those. It's one of those times where everybody is out and about. So the real thing with the election, the crowds were inevitable. It was just taking the precautions to make sure that, well, if you're going to be a part of the crowd, you're protected. Because
Right.
even I was working with one of the candidates during the election period, so I was out and about a lot, quite a lot myself. But you have to, at the same time, remember to take your precautions. And I can honestly say, from where I stood, that persons were actually taking their precautions.
Right, right. And I was following the elections in Jamaica. I was following both parties, and I think most of the videos and photos that I saw, persons were in their mask, and there was some sort of social and physical distancing happening. So I think there were a few persons who really tried their best to adhere to the protocols. Um, what I wanted to ask you though, Jahim, what are some of the issues you have observed since the onset of the pandemic? What are some of the, let me say, drastic changes that took place since Corona started in Jamaica?
Okay, so schools have been closed since March, I think. Yeah, March. All the schools have been closed, and we've reverted to using online classes. Now, that doesn't exactly work for everybody. The government, again, is in fact trying its best to see how well they can accommodate everybody in the schooling system so nobody gets left behind. Because the mandate is every child can learn and every child must learn. So, you're trying our hardest now to get all of that under control, but it's still a tedious process and quite a long way to go. But the online classes really have some of the students suffering because not everybody does well on an online platform. Some people really need face-to-face learning. So there's that. And then the almost complete shutdown of the tourism sector for a couple months, that really gave the country a hit. Because in a way, and that's, I think, a lesson that we have to learn from this, we can't piggyback off one industry, because tourism was our number two income earner. And with the industry taking such a hit, you'd realize that there wasn't much coming in for the country. A lot of people work in the tourism sector. And safe to say, it is somewhat open now. So business is not what it used to be, but it's what we have for now. And then there's also the issue of jobs. With the pandemic going on, and as I said, not a lot of income coming in for the persons, not many business places are taking people on. So unemployment has spiked a bit. There's more persons getting laid off. Persons are now working a lot less than they used to, like a week on, a week off, or even 2 weeks off and a week on. Persons are finding it harder to even get employment, because even me, I tried to get a job quite a few times, and because of the pandemic, no one is hiring. So it's kind of hard if you weren't already somewhat established,
Mm-hmm.
and even those who were somewhat established are still facing difficulties. So the biggest hits, I think, right now are education, the tourism sector, and the level of unemployment and to an extent underemployment too. The health sector too, though. The health workers or frontline workers, God bless them, they're working super hard to keep people in check, to keep us safe.
Mm-hmm.
The testing is being done at almost all the public hospitals, I think. And you have persons going in for testing, and some of the healthcare workers, when they go in, it's like they're walking onto a battlefield because they're about to risk their own life in order to ensure everyone else is okay.
Right, right. And I agree with you. And I think right here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we share the same concerns. Unemployment has definitely spiked. I was working in the tourism industry at a hotel in Nevis, and because of the pandemic, I was made redundant from my position. So I could definitely speak to that. But I think we share the same concerns and issues because even with the education sector, schools were closed in March, but we were able to reopen in September due to the fact that we don't have any. We have cases, but they're not community spread. We have cases that were imported. I think we're now at 22 cases right now. But what I wanted to ask you lastly is how is it on a community level within your community in Jamaica? How are your neighbors? And let's say you go to a shop down the road to buy some bread or something. How is it within your little community right there in Jamaica?
All right, within my community, I'm recently, like just yesterday actually, I heard that according to the map, I haven't seen it myself just yet. I meant to check that out. There is a case somewhere in the community just now, but like the shops though, shop owners and shopkeepers are actually taking their precautions. They've set up their hand wash stations outside, and there's the signage: wash your hands before you enter, and please wear your mask. And we're not letting in, like, the shops are very small, they're little corner shops, so you don't let in more than two or three people at a time on the inside,
Right, right.
just to be on the safe side, because we are in fact in the phase of it here in Jamaica where we're facing community spread. And at this point, if we get it under control in the communities, then we can possibly get it under control in the wider area. At least
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think.
Right, right. And I agree, but I mean, community spread is it's a tricky thing with the COVID-19 because the contact tracing would definitely be harder for the health authorities to do because you would have to go back to ground zero. You'd have to go back to the beginning to find out, well, where did this thing all begin and who were the first persons to make contact with that case or that individual per se. But I share your concerns and I share your issues. We share the same concerns and issues here with education, unemployment. You do have persons who are working, but it is not like before. It's not like before COVID-19. So persons are working but at a reduced income and on reduced hours. So it's very much the same. But in regards to our cases, at the moment we have no community spread, and we thank God for that. And I'm so happy that you were able to commend the frontline workers because I think sometimes during this thing, all persons would throw their criticism. Sometimes you have the bad mind criticism and you have the constructive criticism. But I think the frontline workers should definitely be commended for the work they are doing in the fight against this pandemic. But as we wrap up, Jaheem, are there any final comments that you would like to make here on this program?
Yeah, finally, thanks for having me. But it's really, as I said, it's a trying time for us. But the best we can do is work with our government and work with the protocols they have in place. The and they've actually tried to get schools back open, so that's a plus. students aren't going in every day, at least not all the students. For example, my little sister goes in 2 days a week, and then she has online classes for the rest of the time. So it's getting better, but it's just a matter of getting the case numbers down. So the pandemic is well upon us, and what we have to do now is adjust to what we call the new normal. So all I'm saying is, if we work with our government, then we should be fine in the months to come, because as it is, this is really the new normal.
Right. And thank you so much, Jaheim. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation to be on our program. This was Inside the News right here on WinFM 98.9. So continue to listen. We have some good things coming up. Thank you so much for being a part of our program. And thank you to our usual and first-time listeners for today's program. Guys, you were listening to Jaheim Lolin out of Jamaica, and she was sharing her experience and how it has been in Jamaica since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, since the whole COVID-19 situation, some of the drastic changes that took place in Jamaica within her community, and some of the, the things that really took place, basically. So again, Jaheim, thank you so much, and I hope to hear from you soon. Take care.
Thank you so much, Devon, and you're welcome.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right, take care.
Yes, for those of you who tuned in late, that was Jaheim Lolin out of Jamaica, and she was sharing her experience with the COVID-19 pandemic at a community level and at a national level in Jamaica, of course, and how it has been since the onset, how the health workers, how the community, how the government, how they are responding to the pandemic. Prior to that, we heard from Odion Hillocks. He is a teacher in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he was sharing his experience and his story about the COVID-19 pandemic in the schools, rather in the school that he is placed in St. Vincent, and how the populace responded to the pandemic. He did mention that there seems to be not much of a fear, because there isn't any deaths from the pandemic in St. Vincent, but things are gradually going back to normal in St. Vincent, as he said, just sharing his personal experience. Nevertheless, remember, we are still open. Most Caribbean islands are open to the international community. So even though things are seem to be a bit, normal or all right, for lack of a better word, we still have to be cautious, and we still have to really, safeguard ourselves and make sure that we follow the necessary steps and the necessary protocols to safeguard ourselves. We're going to take a break to acknowledge our wonderful sponsors, and we will be back on Inside the News.
Gift for Dad's birthday? Click. Ooh, Janice's retirement party? Click. Outfit for my girl's wedding? Click. With TDC Airbox, you click, we ship. Register for your free U.S. mailbox today and shop all your favorite stores online. Enjoy the convenience. Free consolidation up to £10. Competitive rates. Free package tracking account with live notifications. Free delivery, and of course, excellent customer service. Visit our website at tdcairbox.com and register today. For more information, visit our offices at the C.A. Paul Industrial Site in St. Kitts and Penny's Industrial Site in Nevis. Follow us on social media at TDC Airbox. TDC Airbox. You click, we ship. Terms and conditions apply.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
At
the cable. We know being local means supporting our own, and our customers deserve the best. Our customers deserve platinum. So now, all customers of the cable qualify for our new Platinum Loyalty Card. An elite MasterCard experience that lets you support your own like never before. Instantly send money to any Platinum Loyalty member at home or around the world. Shop online or in person anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Save with no interest and zero annual fees. And the best part? If you're a cable customer, you are already pre-approved. Just visit the cable building in Bastere or sign up online at www.thecable.net. Get your Platinum Loyalty Card today because you deserve platinum. Terms and conditions apply.
Yes, good morning and welcome back to Inside the News right here on your radio station, 1FM 98.9. I am your host, Devon Cornelius, and so far we had a very good morning, a very, very pleasant morning with two guests one from Jamaica and one from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is just 10 minutes to the hour, so I guess it's safe to open the phone lines and just welcome a few calls to hear what are your thoughts on the comments that were made by these individuals, one from Jamaica and one from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The phone lines will be open, of course, for the next 10 minutes as we will break at 12 for the news and we will return at 12:30 for the second half of Voices. So sorry for opening the phone lines so late, but I wanted the guests to bring across their point of view and their story and their personal story of the whole new normal that they are experiencing in their respective countries, in their respective homes, Jamaica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And as I mentioned earlier, with Jamaica, or as the young lady mentioned rather, with Jamaica having elections, St. Vincent too had elections. I was following the elections in St. Vincent, and there were a few, not a few. Let me not say that. There were massive rallies and public meetings. And it is highly likely that there will be rallies and public meetings. However, one would expect that it would be different because of the situation, because of the global situation, especially with the protocols that were put in place. And so one thought that it would have been different, and a different approach should have been taken to carry out these elections. But it was a very good program, and it is now just 9 minutes to the hour of 12, so we will be taking just a few calls, maybe just 2-3 calls, to hear what is on your mind this good Saturday morning. But I think what was said earlier, I think is quite interesting. Jaheem, she spoke about, what's really going on down there in Jamaica. And, with the country is recording about 10,000 cases, a little over 10,000 cases of the virus. Alarming, yes. But it is, again, not so much that the government is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It is on a community level. Personal responsibility, and persons are being arrogant because the information is being provided as to what to do. Necessary information is being provided by the health officials and the health authorities, but persons are not taking this thing serious. They're not taking this thing serious. And so she was able to, I don't know, shed some light as to what is happening down there with the whole virus and within the communities. I think she said in her community alone, they have some community spread going on down there. And then even in St. Vincent, my colleague in St. Vincent, being a teacher, he was able to share his experience as to how the schools and the Ministry of Education and the government as a whole have been responding to the pandemic. And, persons in St. Vincent are, they're not too, let me say, troubled, for lack of a better word. And there seems to be, a more calm environment. Persons are not too frightened, per se, about the pandemic, because things are fairly well. Things are going fairly well in St. Vincent. I think he said, there isn't much fear. There isn't much fear right now in St. Vincent because, they don't really have any deaths, and the pandemic has been managed quite well in that country. But again, as I said before, our borders are still open. Our borders here, the borders in St. Vincent, the borders in Jamaica, they're still pretty much opened. And so making sure that you do what you have to do to safeguard yourself is very important. It's never too much to talk about COVID, or let me say, it's never too much to encourage people to do what they're supposed to do to safeguard themselves from the virus. One would make the argument that, well, we don't have any community spread. But if you don't do what you're supposed to do, there will be community spread. If the frontline workers don't do what they are supposed to do, there will be community spread. So, again, it is a personal responsibility. It's definitely a personal responsibility, and definitely, us doing what we have to do to safeguard ourselves and to make sure that we don't have any community spread in our Twin Island Federation. And it's not even to say we're praising anybody, but you give credit where credit is due, and you commend persons when they deserve it, and let them know, well, you would have done a very good job. You did a very good job, and I think you deserve to be praised, and you deserve to receive some commendations for the hard work that you did and for the hard work that you continue to do. So as we prepare to close off this program and break for the news at 12, I just want to say thank you to all of you who took the time out of your busy Saturday morning. I know Saturday morning is a time when you either you wash, or you maybe cooking something, or you're probably at church, or you probably just come home from church, early morning church for those persons who are Seventh-day Adventists, doing your household chores, whatever, you name it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you guys so much for being a part of this program, Inside the News, right here on the best radio station in St. Kitts and Nevis and the region, 1FM 98.9. I was your host, Devon Cornelius, and as per usual, it was an honor. It was a very good time having this discussion with my regional colleagues on their experience with the COVID situation. And as we break for the news at 12, we will return at 12:30 for the second segment of Voices. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Listen to what's happening across the region, and stay tuned to hear what is going to come about in the second half of Inside the News. So don't leave us. And again, thank you guys so much. Good. It is just about midday. So good afternoon to all of you, and continue to have a fantastic day. We're going to break now for the news, and we will return at 12:30.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the Win FM Headline News. The Win FM Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Merry Christmas. Tis the season to save with Delayed Wallet and Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Purchasing a new car this Christmas? Save up to 65% off. Yes, that's 65% off your motor insurance premiums. Switch and save up to an additional 30% discount on your premiums. Visit us at Liverpool Road, Bastyr, St. Kitts, or Hunkins Drive, Nevis. Call 465-2631 or 469-5303. Promotion ends December 31st. Quotations valid until January 15th. Terms and conditions apply. 'Tis the season to save up to 65% off.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Bastyr in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
33-year-old Lawton Forbes of Hamilton Nevis was sentenced on November 30th, 2020 to 7 years imprisonment for the offense of wounding with intent and 7 years imprisonment for the offenses of possession of firearm and possession of ammunition. Both sentences are to run concurrently. The offenses were committed on March 4th, 2016. Adiel Webb of the Charlestown Secondary School and Benjamin Clark of the Gingerland Secondary School are the recipients of this year's The Bank of Nevis Limited Right Excellent Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel Scholarship. On Friday, December 4th, 2020, the two secondary school students were awarded the scholarships for their outstanding academic performance. The scholarships will finance their school supplies for the entire 5 years of secondary school. Commenting on the momentous occasion was Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, daughter of the late Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel, the first Premier of Nevis, who used the opportunity to commend the directors, management, and staff of the bank for upkeeping the vision of the Right Excellent Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel to put education first and improve the quality of life for Nevisians. The Bank of Nevis Limited Right Excellent Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel Scholarship was introduced in 2010. The Integrity in Public Life Commission is fully functional and properly funded, according to Attorney General Mr. Vincent Byron. Mr. Byron responded to a question on the Commission at the recent press conference organized by the Prime Minister that features members of the Federal Cabinet.
Can you provide an update on the status of the Integrity Commission?
Integrity in Public Life Commission has been fully operational and is fully funded by a subvention from the Ministry of Finance, so that there is in charge the commission, a chairperson in the place of retired Justice Miss Pauletta Lance, and she is ably assisted by Mr. Freddie Knight and by Miss Buddy, who make up the commission. There is facilities housed at the Delil Walwyn building on Liverpool Road.
The Integrity in Public Life legislation dates back to 2013. In 2018, an Integrity Commission was established. The chairman of that commission, subsequently Damien Kelsick, resigned in May 2019. A month later, retired Judge Pauletta Lance was appointed chairman. At the moment, there are no submissions to the Integrity Commission, as that requirement has not been established by the government. Attorney General Byron said consultations would continue next year with civil servants.
The law has been in place and has been operationalized. There has been a meeting with the members of the civil service last year. There is every intention that there be a follow-up meeting with members of the public service, and all those who will be required to submit a declaration of their assets to the Commission once a date has been set for that to happen. So the Commission is in place, it's fully operational, and there is now the need to establish a date for declarations to be submitted to the Commission.
In regional news, Leah, the Caribbean airline, has been forced to suspend services to 2 of 7 previously announced destinations, which were scheduled to begin on November 30th, while it awaits the approval from the relevant authorities in Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, according to a press release shared on Saturday, December 4th. Liat operated a scheduled flight to Barbados on Monday, November 30th. However, the airline has been informed by these territories that new arrangements must be made for the airlines to operate in Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The airline then made the decision to temporarily suspend services to these destinations while these new arrangements are being finalized. Liat expects to continue the addition of other destinations to which it will operate a limited schedule of flights.
I'm Gordon Mosley. Here is what we're tracking. The private sectors in Guyana and Canada are looking to work closer together And with the launching of the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce this afternoon, the step towards that goal is closer to reality. The new business chamber is being chaired by local business magnate Anand Bihari, who told the launching that the Canada-Guyana Chamber will be looking forward to serving the needs of its membership in Guyana and Canada. The Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce is a brainchild of outgoing Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana Lillian Chatterjee. She said the Canadian High Commission will continue its efforts to promote Canadian and Guyanese collaboration in a broad range of sectors, and not just in the area of oil and gas. The High Commissioner, however, noted that as Guyana moves to become a key player in the oil and gas sector, there is the need for an adequate workforce locally to meet the demands of the sector. She said such a workforce is not currently in place.
What Guyana lacks is a skilled and sizable labor force to benefit from the explosive growth that is coming to Guyana. You are already witnessing an influx of global political leaders and investors who want to do business in Guyana. Get ready. This is just the beginning.
High Commissioner Chatterjee also said foreign investment should be supported and not resisted, although she warned that the country must know who to trust.
While it is reasonable for foreign investors to want to profit from Guyana's success, it is equally critical that they contribute to Guyana's development for the benefit of Guyanese citizens. People have expressed concern that foreigners will take your jobs, skim the profits, and leave you with the scraps. From what I have witnessed with how your government is interacting with Canadian investors, I can personally attest that your government is insisting that external investors train and employ Guyanese citizens and is extracting maximum benefit for Guyana. So who can you trust? This is where trusted partners like Canada come in.
President Irfaan Ali welcomed the launching of the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce and noted that the Guyana government and the private sector in Guyana will have to work closer to ensure there is a level playing field when it comes to investment and trade with other countries.
There is no point of saying we are part of a global environment, of understanding we are competing in a global environment, of understanding that we are part of a global network, but at the same time, do not recognize that we are also part of global competition. But it is how we manage this global competition. And this is why I said before our local private sector, and I must congratulate them, they need to step their game up, and they're stepping the game up. I have all confidence in the private sector of Guyana and the leaders in Guyana, that they will step their game up and they will be equal partners wherever they go. There will be partners that will fit the bill. There will be partners that will become capable, that will achieve the technological transfer that is needed to manage the new economy.
The president said for many years, Guyana has faced many hurdles in getting access to various markets, while the country is always making it easier for some of those same markets to do business in Guyana. He said the Foreign Affairs Ministry will be looking at the issue, especially as there are more and more countries seeking to do business in Guyana and with Guyana.
We have a serious problem, and I'm saying this with our Canadian partners, because sometimes the headlines can be misleading. We are a strongly knitted country that will realize its true potential in a united way. But we have always been negotiating from behind. For the first time, we are negotiating from in front.
The various private sector groups and chambers, he noted, should not see themselves as being in competition with each other, but rather working with a similar goal. The Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce will have offices in both Toronto and Georgetown. It plans to offer advice and support services to its members and others looking to do business in both Guyana and Canada. The Chamber will also serve as a business advisory body to the governments on bilateral matters related to trade and investment.
We now bring you this international report.
With colder weather on the horizon and the coronavirus surging in an already fragile economy, the United States is bracing for a tough winter. American employers sharply scaled back hiring in the last month, adding just 245,000 jobs, the fewest since April. President-elect Joe Biden says quick action is needed to reverse what he described as one of the worst economic crises in modern history.
The folks out there aren't looking for a handout. They just need help. They're in trouble through no fault of their own. Nothing they did caused them to have hours cut or lose their job or drop out of the market. What they need us to understand. We're in a crisis. We need to come together as a nation. We need the Congress to act and act now.
Biden has highlighted the plight of working-class Americans and struggling business owners, speaking to those who have lost jobs in the service industry and public sector in a virtual roundtable discussion earlier this week, like Karen Coffey, who lost her job working in a sports stadium.
We do have a lot of concerns, Mr. Biden. It's been rough. I mean, my last day of work was March the 8th when everything shut down.
Retailers shed jobs in November, what would normally be peak holiday shopping season, a reflection of fewer consumers shopping in physical stores. Restaurants, bars, and hotels saw modest job growth, but many continue to struggle amid the pandemic, with parts of the country beginning to reimpose restrictions on businesses.
We're trying to save lives and keep people healthy. And at the same time, to do that, we wind up having to close businesses, which means that people may not have shelter and may not have healthy food. So there's a balance or a needle you have to thread right there.
In all, nearly 10 million jobs lost since the pandemic have yet to return, with a rising proportion of the unemployed describing their jobs as gone for good. Unless Congress approves another aid package before the end of the year, millions of unemployed workers stand to lose all of their jobless assistance. And President-elect Biden says that should be just the first step. He plans to introduce more measures to stimulate the economy as soon as he's inaugurated on January 20th. Kristen Salumi, Al Jazeera, Wilmington, Delaware.
Growing tensions between China and Australia were laid bare with this tweet of a fake image depicting an Australian soldier holding a knife to the throat of an Afghan child, alluding to a recent report on alleged war crimes by some Australians. What followed was a war of words, with Beijing refusing to apologise and the state-backed Global Times newspaper doubling down with another cartoon of Australian soldiers.
At the moment, it appears that both sides are not willing to stand back, and both sides are quite willing to escalate.
It's been escalating for years. Australia has legislated over concern that China was too involved in politics here, and it became the first country to ban Chinese tech giant Huawei from its 5G network. It's also spoken out about China's handling of Hong Kong and the coronavirus. Beijing hit back with bans and tariffs on Australian industries.
Clearly, Australia is taking economic punishment for taking a political stance that China does not agree with.
Now Australia is taking Beijing to the World Trade Organization, threatening legal action over its tariffs on barley. Allies have rallied behind Australia with campaigns to buy Australian products.
Australian politicians have traditionally taken a bipartisan approach to China, but in a rare divide on foreign policy, the opposition Labor Party has accused the Prime Minister of presiding over a complete breakdown of relationships. The government is now hoping for a reset.
The question is how to reset relations when China isn't answering calls. Businesses caught up in the tensions are hoping for a diplomatic resolution.
In terms of immediate remedies or panaceas, there are none, I don't think, but what we have been saying to government is that we do need a reset. We do need to focus on, working through the challenges.
The challenge will be navigating a path between voicing what Australia believes to be legitimate concerns while maintaining lucrative markets and also opening new ones. Nicola Gage, Al Jazeera, Canberra.
Crucial days ahead for Gulf nations. Talks aimed at ending the 3.5-year blockade of Qatar seem to have achieved significant progress. Kuwait's foreign minister, whose country has been regionally mediating an end to the crisis, says he's confident.
Constructive and fruitful talks have taken place recently where all the parties have stressed their desire to reach a final agreement and resolution to preserve the region's stability and harmony and maintain the interests of their peoples. Within this context, we express our appreciation for the latest efforts by Jared Kushner, the US President's advisor.
Qatar's Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani says he also remains optimistic about the prospect of a deal.
We have achieved certain progress at a certain point of time more than a year ago, and then things has slowed down, and right now there are some movements that we hope that this will put an end for this crisis, because we see and we believe actually that Gulf unity is very important for the security of the region, for the stability of that region, and for the sake of our people. This needless crisis needs to end.
A few hours after the Kuwaiti and Qatari statements, Saudi Arabia's foreign minister also said significant progress has been made and all sides are close to reaching an agreement.
We hope that this progress can lead to a final agreement which looks in reach, and I can say I am somewhat optimistic that we are close to finalizing an agreement between all the nations in the dispute to come to a resolution that we think will be satisfactory to all.
The Gulf Cooperation Council has welcomed the news. In a statement, it said the development reflects the strength of the GCC, its cohesion, and its ability to overcome all obstacles. The new developments come a few days after the US President's senior advisor, Jared Kushner, made a visit to the region. He held talks with the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The visit was widely seen as a last-ditch effort by the Trump administration to end the land, sea and air blockade that was imposed by Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain and Egypt on Qatar in June 2017. The blockading countries severed diplomatic ties with Doha and issued a list of 13 demands for Qatar to implement. They include downgrading ties with Iran, closing a Turkish military base and shutting down Al Jazeera. Qatar dismissed the demands as a violation of its sovereignty. The US has been trying to end the blockade, worried it might undermine its efforts to contain Iran's influence in the region. In the last few months, American officials had been hoping Saudi Arabia would open its airspace to Qatari flights, a move the Trump administration believes will deny Iran an estimated $100 million in annual fees Qatar pays to fly over its airspace. The coming days and weeks will show if the Gulf's rival nations are ready to set aside their differences, or if the wounds of the blockade might take even longer to heal. Hashim Al-Bara, Al Jazeera.
That was the Win FM Headline News, brought to you by KDP Enterprises, Caribbean Alliance, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading, The Grange.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic and residential care for older adults. It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Tis the season to save with Delayed Woman and Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Purchasing a new car this Christmas? Save up to 65% off. Yes, that's 65% off your motor insurance premiums. Switch and save up to an additional 30% discount on your premiums. Visit us at Liverpool Road, Bastier, St. Kitts, or Hunkins Drive, Nevis. Call 465-2631 or 469-5303. Promotion ends December 31st. Quotations valid until January 15th. Terms and conditions apply. 'Tis the season to save up to 65% off. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM. People make the world go
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Hey, the holiday's coming. You hear? The holiday's coming. Get ready for the holidays with TDC Home and Building Depots on Friday 4th and Saturday 5th December. Shop in store and get a different discount every hour on the hour, up to 30% in savings. Plus, if you are at the cashier and the buzzer goes off, you get an additional 5% off. Don't wait until the savings are all gone. Shop this weekend at the TDC Home and Building Depots because TDC is Christmas. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
At The Cable. We know being local means supporting our own, and our customers deserve the best. Our customers deserve platinum. So now, all customers of The Cable qualify for our new Platinum Loyalty Card. An elite MasterCard experience that lets you support your own like never before. Instantly send money to any Platinum Loyalty member at home or around the world. Shop online or in person anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Save with no interest and 0 annual fees. And the best part? If you're a Cable customer, you are already pre-approved. Just visit the Cable building in Basse-Terre or sign up online at www.thecable.net. Get your Platinum Loyalty Card today because you deserve platinum. Terms and conditions apply.
People make the world go
Good afternoon, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome back to another edition of Inside the News right here on WinFM 98.9. I am your host for this afternoon, Devon Cornelius, and this afternoon is going to be a different program, and we're going to shift gears a bit, and we're going to talk about some of the major developments that took place throughout the week right here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and of course, across the Caribbean region. Later on in the program, we will open the phone lines where you would have that opportunity to call in, share your views, ask your questions, and bring across your points on how you feel about the topics that we are going to discuss. So first on my agenda is the $11 million write-off. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis forgave writes off $11 million debt to regional airline Liat. Liat is strapped for cash. Liat is in a major financial difficulty, and so our government played their part in helping Liat to survive this hard financial trouble that they are in. But social media has been buzzing. Social media has been buzzing ever since, and I saw a number of posts on Facebook and WhatsApp, and persons it is a mixed feeling. You have those persons who are quite happy and they're pleased with the approach that the government took, and then you have those persons who are not so pleased, and that is all right. That is fair. That is democracy. Everybody can't agree on the same thing. We can't all be happy about this situation. We can't all be vexed about this situation. So you have those persons who are like, okay, man, this is a good initiative. This is a good initiative. But I saw a question like, what did we benefit? What did we benefit from that write-off? That is one of the questions that were asked. I see a post speaking about if Liat's liquidation is insolvent in nature, how much of that $11 million do we think SKN would have retrieved? These are some of the questions that are being asked. So, and even before I get there, again, it's all right. It's all right that persons would have questions. It's all right that persons would be happy. But I also saw a post from a student, a recent graduate of a university, who said, okay, so $11 million write-off from the government to Liat. What about student loan debt forgiveness? I think this is a touchy topic, and I don't know if we are ready for this one. I don't even know if I'm ready for this one, but it's something I saw last night. I was like, wow, this thing is going really far. I mean, I don't know if there should be an entire student loan forgiveness or debt forgiveness for student loans. Maybe you pay half interest or a fraction of the interest or interest only. Because interest, in my opinion, I believe interest, it plays a role in driving the economy. Because if you borrow $10 from the bank, paying back $10, it doesn't benefit the economy. It doesn't benefit the bank. So the bank can pay their staff and assist governments with social programs and all of that. So that are some of the things that are being said about this whole write-off of to Liat. Then, as we are currently celebrating 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And I came across an unfortunate and disturbing information, some disturbing information that a young juvenile, a female juvenile, was sexually and physically assaulted here in St. Kitts in the Basti area on Monday, November 30th. And for a moment, we were not hearing much about it. And then after a while, you heard about it. And then after a while, it just hushed down. As they would say in the community, you hear a little shoo-shoo. And then that was about it. Nothing else came from it. So, as we are currently celebrating 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and even with this activism campaign that is going on, the Department of Gender Affairs in both St. Kitts and Nevis, they have been doing a number of activities to bring about awareness and to draw attention to gender-based violence, and to let persons know that gender-based violence is definitely wrong. But I think some information needs to be provided. We contacted the police to get a statement, and they said that they were not in a position to provide an update on the matter at that point in time. And so we would definitely follow up with the police to ascertain more information about what really took place. Do you have any suspects? And any more important information about that unfortunate incident. Also, I saw this video that was circulating on social media where a young lady was being physically harassed. A young person was being physically harassed, and persons were looking on. So it made its run on social media, and some of the comments were like, "Oh, why are persons just looking on? And why y'all in helping? And what did you guys videotape?" But if you did not videotape, you would have never seen. You would have never seen the video. And so I'm not saying that we should always pull out our phones and run with everything that we see, but sometimes these phones could be of good use. That is hard evidence right there. That is evidence right there that gender-based violence is real. And it's not just something that we just come on the radio and bang them out about. It's not something that the police just bang them out about, or the Department of Gender Affairs to talk about. It's real, it's happening. It is real. Then we had some political tension right here in St. Kitts with the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party. Dr. Terence Drew of the Labour Party has filed criminal charges against Eugene Hamilton of the People's Action Movement, and he is claiming that Mr. Hamilton is guilty of treating and bribery. So even though elections are over, elections were held on June 5, even though elections are over, there is much happening. With the politics in St. Kitts and Nevis. Many thought that, it was kind of, after a while, person stopped talking about it, and Labour was saying one thing and PAM was saying one thing, but now there seems to be a little bit of tension right now in the political arena right here in our federation. And then shifting over to Jamaica, I like to talk about Jamaica and what's happening in Jamaica. I think Jamaican politics is very exciting. Damien Crawford of the People's National Party, PNP, is the new confusion in the party, because first they were saying it was Lisa Hanna, then they were saying it's Mark Golden, then they were saying it's Dayton Campbell when he made that comment about the party can't run upon water and the party needs somebody who have money and a big bank account, and even told the delegates that, look, are you going to want money to vote today? So there was a leaked voice note from Damien Crawford. He's the vice president of the PNP in Jamaica. And basically he was talking down on his colleagues, the party president, which is Mark Golden, saying that he doesn't believe that Mark is going to be fit for leadership going forward, maybe just for the next 2 years, but he's not really fit for leadership. And he was downplaying Lisa Hanna's popularity, saying Lisa is not very popular and important and all of that. And so he was kind of, chastising those persons per se. He did say that he is the most committed one to the PNP. But we're going to take our first call for this afternoon. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And you?
Oh, so far so good.
Great.
I noticed you're having a good time.
I'm having a wonderful time.
By weighing the differences with the issue with Hamilton and the DAC.
Yes.
Well, I think the DAC going to have a good time proving his case. So you could make all kind of accusation, but you have to prove it.
Right.
In the court of law. Everything could be said on the street, but
that is right.
Street talk and court talk are two different things. So when you go in the courtroom and you stand before the court and giving true evidence, that is where the proof comes in. So street trial and courtroom trial are two different things.
Different things, yes.
Anyway, since you've been touching so many different subjects, I would like to hear you, Wayne, on the cost of living. I'm not even talking about items, commodities that we might need to use because we could bypass those, but especially food. Mm-hmm. Even the bakeries, the bread have lost its size. The cake have increased about $2 each more. And if you go on and on, the prices are so ridiculous. And so even if you look at the way these prices have been increased, let us say for ballpark figure that the owners of these stores decide to give their staff an increase. Because even though we have the pandemic, food is still flowing, food is still selling. So why the hike? Why take advantage of the people at this moment by jacking up the price so high? I mean, I don't know how you see it, but in my view, government have dropped the VAT from the food, and it was a big help to people, but then we only feel that for about 1 month. Then the price climb back on. Soon as they hear about the epidemic, this virus that is going around, the price for food just like they're trying to catch up Winston Hill. I mean, I must be the only one who noticed it. But one day I went to the supermarket and someone was walking around in the supermarket so often, and the person saying that I have not finished shopping and but I'm scared to go to the cashier. Because prices are going up so high. If somebody could come and tell the public why is it, then we could understand. But just don't wake up one morning and find that prices are just changing on you. I mean, here they are on the shelf, one price. Soon as you look at it and you go to the cashier, they come and say, oh no, that is the wrong one. And then they change it out. And they might let you pay for that at the moment, but before you turn around, the prices have changed. What is happening? Is it there's an increase at the landing charges at the port? Is it shipping freight charges? Is it an increase for truckage? Is there an increase to staff wages? Is it an increase to staff salaries? Why? Tell us why. Is there an increase to electricity? Tell us why. And we could understand, but just don't push on the price on us like you're crazy because you're in charge. You're large and you're in charge. And the other thing is that the vendors normally buy from supermarket to sell on the street, so they're more expensive.
Yeah.
The vendors go to the supermarket, shop, come out on the side of the street and sell to people who walk in on the street, because some people just think it hard to go into the supermarket or go down the market to buy what they want.
That is so true.
So at the end of the day, you think you are gaining when you are not. The other thing is, people have to strategically plan their expenditure. The Chinese and the Indians, they plan, they do simulation, they act how they're going to treat a customer when they walk into the store. They ask you, they say good morning to you. They tell you, what can I do for you? And you say, I'm looking for lotion. They say, come with me. Look at all these. They're showing you where you can buy it. And when they show you, you get out of the store quickly because you spend your money and you leave. We don't spend with our people. We treat our people different. I don't know why we don't like to spend with our own people. Maybe because when our people reach up the ladder and they reach to a certain scale, they think that they're more than the people who spend with them. Attitude need to change. We need to unify ourselves and come together more, because our money is still the same, but the prices are getting out of reach. And it appears as if that the garbage truck are carrying less garbage from the household, because when they used to carry about maybe 10 or 20 pounds from K-On, they could put K-On and Latch together now because there's not enough household garbage.
Right.
Because people are not buying enough food. They are not buying as much food as they once did. And they cannot even buy quality. Because if you buy quality, then you'll be in better position, but you have quantity, which is more expensive also. So we have to think, face ourselves and think, because these things are important to us, and we are going through some critical times these days. Lots of people are still unemployed because the tourism industry is still out at sea, cannot come to shore. And we have to keep our hands washed, wear our masks to prevent others from catching any kind of sickness, flu, or anything. And don't talk about going to the doctors. They can't wait for you to come in. And the drugstore, when you get sick, when you go to the doctors, they charge you some high prices. Don't talk about the lawyers. They can't wait for you to come. Because when you come, it's going to cost you. If you win the case, if you lose the case, it's still going to cost you.
Still going to cost you, yeah.
So justice is not free and it's not cheap. So if you could resolve your issues, if you could resolve our issues together and do it in a decent manner and move on, because sometimes the things that we fight over and argue about don't have no value. There's no benefit. And so we have to do things differently. We have to respect, not only respect others, but respect ourselves, and we'll be in better shape. I think I've said enough. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, caller, so much for your input on Inside the News right here on WinFM 98.9. For those of you who are just tuning in, I am your host for today, Devon Cornelius. And we are touching various topics on today's edition of Inside the News. But I think the caller, we have another call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good afternoon, Devon. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. And you?
I'm here giving God thanks, man.
All the time.
It's great to be alive, you know. Bible says a living dog is better than a dead lion.
Yeah.
So as long as you're alive, you have hope. Now, I am still trying to figure out what is the objective of the case or the thing by Dr. Drew. What does he intend to achieve? To have the decision, the voting overturned? Is that what he expects?
Very good question. I don't know.
But I've been asking that because, I mean, to me, I don't know. I admire him, but I don't know who put him up to do this, because the truth is, one of the reasons why NHC has had these heavy defaults is that many of the people say their representative gave them the house. They ain't gonna pep on the house because they give them. I mean, you understand? And this giving the house starts since when? 1995, 2000?
Oh, Lord.
Some people have not even paid a cent.
No.
You understand? The Prime Minister, Dr. Douglas, was so kind to have this land initiative. Remember when they pay $100? Someone, oh, well, he gave me, I vote for it. I mean, people bold enough. So, you know, I want to know, this whole thing is ridiculous. And he know, and I know, and his people and all have said that people no longer want to vote for free. Both parties had to pay people to vote. So to me, it's rather hypocritical. If one sin, all sin. Because all the others have to do is to bring people into the courthouse to say, swear an affidavit that this representative gave me, you know. Because in a seat as highly contested as that one, constituency 8, anything could happen. You know, and I expect him to come and take over the Labour Party. I see him to show the most promise. But when he takes this angle, I just can't figure out who, or was it a party decision? Because they say the party support the stance he take. But it don't make no sense, because you can only expose other people. You're going to expose the other colleagues. If the objective is to get the vote overturned, say so. And isn't there, 21 days after election you have for that?
I think it's about that, yeah.
That is it. I remember the case with the young man who brought the case against Dwyer Astaphan. The time had expired.
Yeah.
And then this case is to be tried February next year. You know, I think lawyers looking work. Don't never get them. You hear me? Because it don't make no sense. Otherwise, they're going to have to take all the parties' people up to the courthouse.
Everybody going up there.
No, I mean, that case sounds so ridiculous. Even before the election, the government was building houses for people who are, I'm trying to find the right word, down to the bottom, below past poor. They were putting on bathroom and thing, and people were living in those kind of conditions. They talk about the food packages. All of them were giving food.
Everybody was giving out food packages.
Imagine I don't eat food. One of the comrades came and I even said to the person, I don't need it. If you're not giving for votes, you give the destitute and the people who need it. You know what I mean?
There were some people who were getting packages for votes, though, because there's some people getting packages and they didn't need it.
They have spoken and unspoken. You know, spoken and unspoken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't follow. You think they're gonna give you thing? Anybody with any kind of sense? There's something called implicit, you know. Explicit is when you say it. Implicit is when you agree to it. And then you can't even prove that when they went into the booth, they voted for you. So you have to prove, you know. You get them to vote. Did they vote for you? How do you know they voted for you? Because the last person in Nevis who tried some elections way back had to walk with the phone to take a picture of the vote so they could collect. I mean, we have better things to study. Now, let me go to something that happened at the United Nations, which I haven't heard you talk about. The United Nations has removed marijuana from the list of dangerous drugs. Have you heard that?
No, that is news to me.
I think it's yesterday or Thursday, yes. And if you are following the U.S. news, the U.S. Congress, because the Republicans are complaining that the first thing that the Democrats want to do is the marijuana thing, because I think the U.S. Congress also want to put it through their vote to have marijuana removed from the dangerous drugs list. Now, what they said, however, is that even though the United Nations has removed it, because it has been removed, countries still have the power to decide if they want to keep it or not. But for all the countries who have been looking forward to developing their marijuana industry, that is good news. Because as long as it was on the UN list, it was difficult. They had to wait, and it could have been challenged. You know, so you could check it out.
Definitely.
All right then, and to all the others out there, good afternoon to all of the listeners. Tomorrow is the Prime Minister's birthday. I hope he ain't got to go give nobody in the back to come church. Anyway, Mr. Prime Minister, I pray for you. You hear that you give your heart to the Lord and serve Him. And the Bible says, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people mourn. All right then.
Thank you so much, caller, for your input here on Inside the News. And just before that caller came in, I wanted to comment on what the previous caller was talking about in regards to the cost of living. That is an everyday issue, and you hear about it once in a while, but not to say that it is not important, because I think we all face that issue, the high cost of living. Caller, though, you spoke about persons supporting local businesses, and I'm totally for it. You support your own, but there's some local businesses that they ain't have no manners, and they have terrible customer service, and I am very sorry. And I say it now, and I don't apologize for saying it. If you don't have any good customer service and you ain't have no manners, I ain't supporting your business, straight up. So I don't think that people should just support businesses because they are local. We need to learn how to treat our customers with respect. At the same time, customers need to learn how to respect others, because there is this saying that the customers are always right, which is I disagree. Some customers are deliberate and bad-minded sometimes, you know. I'm going to be real honest. But supporting local businesses, it is good. But some of these local businesses need to know how to talk to people and need to know how to deal with people. One time I had an encounter with a business on 4th Street. And oh my God, I had to tell the cashier, I said, this is not how you do business. Yeah, this is not how you do business. You're going to take your time and talk to me. That's how you do business. So even though we are saying to support local businesses, man, these local businesses around here, the owners, they're vexed with everybody. They vex with everybody. There's one time I was doing some business with this business up. I don't even know up the name, close to this cemetery, past the CFBC, and the business, I drop off something there. at that particular time, and they told me to come back around 4. And then they said, no, don't come back. We will call you. We will let you know when we're ready for you. So I here at work waiting for the call. Nobody called me. I call, nobody answer. So I gone up there around 6 o'clock to see if anybody's still there. What happened is that the business is close to the home. So I gone. So I come for, my, appointment or whatever. We close. We all bothering me for. And I said, these people sick in the mind, These people sick in the mind. Boy, but yeah, I mean, supporting local businesses is fine. But these local businesses, they need to learn. They need training. Their staff need training. So let me say that their staff need training. But the caller also made mention of expenditure planning, which is very important. Some of us, we spend I don't know, but we spend a lot, and we don't watch what we buy, and we just buy things that ain't make no sense, and things that are not important. But very good point made by that previous caller before the one that just went. The cost of living is ridiculously high, and even though VAT was taken off of food, if you ask me, I mean, it doesn't feel that way. Because the VAT came off, and then I believe the supermarkets went and put on their own thing. They put on their own prices, and the prices fluctuated, and now you're buying something twice and 3 times, But let us take a short break, and we will be back to continue this segment of Inside the News.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Are you wondering what to do this holiday season? Will it be the same? Will you be able to give your family all that they need? Well, with TDC Financial Services, all your holiday woes will disappear. You can get up to $35,000 unsecured for your holiday needs. Give us a call at 465-6516 or 469-5430 to find out how we can help to make your holidays happier for you and your family. TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
At The Cable, we know being local means supporting our own, and our customers deserve the best. Our customers deserve platinum. So now, all customers of The Cable qualify for our new Platinum Loyalty Card. An elite MasterCard experience that lets you support your own like never before. Instantly send money to any Platinum Loyalty member at home or around the world. Shop online or in person anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Save with no interest and 0 annual fees. And the best part? If you're a Cable customer, you are already pre-approved. Just visit the Cable building in Basseterre or sign up online at www.thecable.net. Get your Platinum Loyalty Card today because you deserve platinum. Terms and conditions apply.
People make the world go
Good afternoon and welcome back to Inside the News right here on WinFM 98.9. Yes, I am your host, Devon Cornelius. And just to comment on the comments of the last caller, before I do that, we'll take this call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, Devon, I'm not going to disturb you again, but I want to give this with you. The government decided to forgive the debt of Liat. We know the impact that Liat could have, did have, on our country. We were having carnival And Liat did not even increase their flights into St. Kitts. They maintain the same status quo. They take you can get from St. Kitts to New York before you could get from St. Kitts to St. Thomas, anywhere else in the Caribbean. You first, when you leave St. Kitts, you have to go to Antigua, and you have to leave here early in the morning and sit in Antigua Airport, have lunch and even dinner before you could depart for your second destination if it's outside of Antigua. I felt in my mind that we were poorly treated because of the fact that we was not making any financial contribution to Liat. Having said that, I recognize the fact that it was a great stumbling block to us for our activities, carnival and whatever we might be having, because Liat appear not to be taking advantage and supporting our area by flying people who desire to come to St. Kitts. So the government today declared that they will forgive the debt of Liat, owing probably for landing charge and maybe some other amenities what normally they should have paid for. That is good, because you know what, we need it. But to see that Liat only give us one day, that don't make any sense to me. We should have had Saturday and Wednesday. Because you see, as much as we look at things, we have to cater for the working man. If you put Saturday and Wednesday, someone can fly to St. Kitts on Saturday and leave Wednesday because he would have had Thursday and Friday to go back to his business. And so he would not have missed a whole week. But when you put a man Saturday and come back for him next Saturday, you mean that he must spend the whole week to do what? He would have already done all his business transaction in St. Kitts. And so therefore, 2 days probably would be good enough for him while missing for a week. That don't make any sense. Saturday to another Saturday, Monday, Wednesday is perfect. For any tourist industry, you could get away from your business and go back like you had never left. And so to me, Saturday alone is not good, even though it's good that we get in one day. But 2 days are perfect. Oh, and by the way, you had said about a cashier deal with you in a kind of way. Remember that the cashier is employed by someone. And the onus is on the business people to make sure that their staff are trained. Do simulation, work out things with them, go over issues with them, do it like your customer when your stores are closed. Do a practice, try run, do dry run with them. Ask them questions and help them to see if they are willing and able to be a cashier. And after you finish, show them and say, this is what is going to be expected of you. This is what's going to happen. Customers sometimes are disgusting, but you have to keep your cool. Customers have a right for the service of which you provide, for which they are paying for.
Right, which is fair.
Customer right. Customer does not have the right to abuse staff who serve them.
Absolutely not.
So when the term customer always right, it only means that customer have a right for the service and the goods of which they are paying for, not to be abusive. So so when they say customers is always right, it just means simple that, no further. And so therefore, we must understand that when we're dealing with people also, we must also notice that the person who's serving us could be frustrated for some time.
Right.
And if you find that you want to make a joke when you walk into a place, start at a professional level. And if you make a joke, you always have the professional standard to go back to. But don't start joking with somebody on a jokey level. And when they catch you down there, at their level where they want you, don't say that they're rude and they're disrespectful because you started. So if you start at a professional level and both of you start talking and then it become joke and somebody gets vexed, you always have the professional standard to go back to. I think I've said enough. Have a good weekend, man.
You too, and you too. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much, caller, for your input right here on Inside the News, 1FM 98.9. We'll take this other call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Inside the News.
Inside the News?
Yes.
Yes, it's a story concerning the news. I am one who really follow news that really have biblical importance. And recently, you must have heard, this was really news around the world, that chief scientist, the man that is responsible for the development of Iran nuclear weaponry, was assassinated. From my observation, really, they accuse Israel and the United States, but Israel in more term than, because the Prime Minister a couple of years ago had pointed out the same man, stating that he is the architect of this nuclear weaponry that they're trying to create. But is in the way that it was done. I've been following Israel in regard to its technology, its advancement in technology, a young nation. And when the chief scientist was killed, he was accompanied by bodyguards. The Iranian news agency said that a number of gunmen opened fire. But on close examination and further investigation, this really is amazing. It is the highest in terms of technology. This man was killed by a car that was parked close to the road in which he was driving, that had a machine gun. We know that sometimes you have what we call roadside bomb, and they goes off and kill people and things like that. But this is a car with a gun, a machine gun in it, with nobody, operated by satellite. And as that car carrying the chief scientist of Iran crossed the area where that car was, the explosion went off. And then this gun, this machine gun, opened fire, riddling the vehicle with bullets, killing the chief scientist. And Iran was saying a number of gunmen, I guess they was looking for these men. But then, this is sophistication. A remote control then caused the car to really burn whatever they did. The vehicle caught fire, so there was no evidence as to fingerprint or what have you. Nobody. Israel. And it reminds me that when Iran threatened, the leadership threatened Israel to wipe them off the map, Israel said they have a right to defend. But in the Caribbean, I haven't heard anybody in regards to its sophistication in technology. I have never seen such sophistication. I know bomb, truck bomb, and car bomb, both, but this really left me astonishing and wonder. If Israel really is the leading nation right now in regards to technology in weaponry. And so I surprised that in the Caribbean nobody came out to speak about that. This to me tells me that there's nobody safe. This gentleman had all the bodyguards. And when they say a number of gunmen, they were telling lies because nobody was there. They admitted it's a car with a machine gun. So, really and truly, we are living in a really amazing time because biblical perspective says, the one that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. And we are living in a time where, apart from this pandemic, great things that really indicate the return of Jesus Christ, not as a babe in a manger, but the King and the Lord of Lords, is taking place. Perhaps we are too busy in regards to focusing on the activities that is taking place with the pandemic, the ill, mental illness, widespread around the world, poverty, violence taking place in light of this pandemic. And I am saying, really, it's a time when the Bible prophesies that even though we have a Christian society, have a Christian calendar where you have Easter and Christmas as time set aside where we always reflect the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ and the birth of Christ. These are times when we reflect. Of course, we reflect every day, but we set aside these time. And right now, as we look and we hear about the vaccine, all of us are curious and anxious. But I believe that in light of this, we have to keep our eyes on the coming of Christ, because he said, in such an hour as we think not, the Son of Man cometh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your input here on Inside the News on 1FM 98.9. I am your host, Devon Cornelius. And yes, just to comment on some of the concerns that were raised today. There was a caller speaking about about Dr. Drew, who filed criminal charges against Eugene Hamilton. He is accusing Mr. Hamilton of cheating and bribery. A very important question that she asked was, what do they plan, or what does the Labour Party plan to achieve from doing this, or what does Dr. Drew plan to achieve from filing these criminal charges? Very important questions, and we hope that we could have them answered. I don't know the answer to that question, I'll tell you that now, but we're hoping that these questions definitely could be answered. But very important and very interesting topics that we are discussing here today. Very, very important and very, very interesting topics. As we are winding down, it is now 15 minutes past the hour of 1, and we will end at 1:30 for this segment of Inside the News. And just to comment on the other issues that were raised, just before I do that though, I came across a press release from LIAT which says that they have suspended, or LIAT forced rather, to suspend services to 2 destinations. It says LIAT has been forced to suspend services to 2 of its previously announced destinations while it awaits the approval from the relevant authorities in Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The airline had previously announced services to Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines and was scheduled to begin flights as of November 30th. Prior to its suspension of the services due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the airline had been operating to these destinations on valid flight approvals which have not expired. LIAT operated a scheduled flight to Barbados on Monday, November 30th. However, the airline has been informed by these territories that new arrangements must be made for the airline to operate into Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The airline has therefore made the decision to temporarily suspend services to these destinations while these new arrangements are being finalized. And in the press release, they said passengers whose flights have been affected are asked to contact the LIAT Reservations Call Center for assistance. LIAT will waive all change fees for these passengers due to the inconvenience these cancellations may have caused. The airline will continue to work with the relevant authorities to finalize all new required arrangements so that connectivity between the destinations can be maintained. So yes, Liat was forced to suspend services to 2 destinations, that is Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because of some arrangements that these territories are making. So yes, we are continuing this discussion, and we are approaching the 1:30 end time very shortly. It is just now 18 minutes past the hour of 1 here in our studios, and you're listening to Inside the News right here on 1FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius, and today we have touched so many topics. We were not able to, go in depth all of them, but the government writing off $11 million debt for the yet. Then there was a sexual assault which took place on Monday, November 30, in the Bastille area, whilst we are celebrating 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Dr. Joe filing criminal charges against Eugene Hamilton, and Damien Crawford over in Jamaica of the People's National Party has a leaked voice note talking down on his party colleagues Lisa Hanna and Mark Golding, who is the PNP president. Damien Crawford is the vice president of the PNP. And so it's quite interesting, of all these internal bickering and internal confusion that is happening in the PNP. I think the PNP has been quite battered since the last September 3 election. They have been trying their best to, I would say, stay relevant. I have been following them on social media during the election campaign, and they were very hot on the social media, especially Lisa Hanna. However, they are not hot anymore, and they are very much quiet. I'm not hearing much from the PNP, but they are having they're continuing to have internal elections. I think they're having elections for party chairman and party secretary, and I think party treasurer. I'm not too sure about the treasurer part, but definitely for the party chairman. So these are some of the developments that are taking place over there in Jamaica. And just some nice, good, soft news. The Bank of Nevis Limited on Friday, December 4th, awarded scholarships to 2 secondary school students, Adiel Webb of the Charlestown Secondary School and Benjamin Clark of the Gingerland Secondary School. And I would want to use this opportunity to commend them for their good academic performance. We have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Inside the News.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Good afternoon.
I, too, am not sure of the motive of bringing the case before the court, but we can only speculate.
Right.
That is Dr. Drew's case. I don't think bringing it at this point can overturn the election because the courts are very reluctant to overturn decisions of the electorate. So if that's the objective, it is indeed an exercise in futility. But I disagree that it is a meaningless exercise. It is interesting that both you and the other callers basically chuckle at charges of cheating by one side, that is to say, everybody knows that it happened, but either you can't prove it or everybody has sinned in this respect. Well, if everybody has sinned, does it mean that we should just accept this as the new normal? Is corruption now the order of the day? You know, this skepticism was evident even at the outset, at the inauguration of the new government, when a pastor practically bemoaned the bribery that was alleged to have taken place. Okay? But civil society has been very tight-lipped on the issue since, and even went as far as to confirm the validity of the election, and it has abdicated its role as a guardian of our democracy, right? It seemed to prefer pandering to power. Well, if everybody is saying this, that this corruption is now part of our election, how could we then say that it is a valid election? If the rules are broken by both players in a game, was that game played fair? Is the result of that game valid? Isn't the game corrupted? So maybe it's a good thing that a challenge was indeed made, that it was mounted to at least establish that cheating did in fact occur. All right? We can't just say that, well, that is going to be the order of the day from now on, because it's going to mean that the one with the most money is going to win. We might as well just say, rather than having an election with campaigning, the two parties raise as much money as they could, and whoever raised the most money, we just put them in as the government. And that would make no sense. It would be a perversion of democracy. Okay? And while proving that it was, the treating that happened would have made a difference in the outcome of the election is indeed difficult. That's another matter altogether, right? But we need to deal with this issue so that it does not become a feature in future elections, and we should use the issue to demand electoral reform and campaign financing. Otherwise, the playing field will never be level, and our elections will not be free and fair. We can't just allow this to just go unnoticed and this become how elections are run in the future. That is not democracy. And so we should protest against it. And I think this case, I for one would be following this case to see exactly what is said in it. Okay? Because, you know, nobody, I think, would like the fact that our electoral processes have been corrupted. And having agreed that it is indeed corrupted, we should not tolerate it. We should not stand for it. Okay, then.
Thank you so much, caller, for your input here on Inside the News on 1FM 98.9. We're going to take just one more call as we approach the 1:30 end time. And in regards to that case that was filed by Dr. Drew, criminal charges against Eugene Hamilton. Before I continue, I'll take this call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon. It's very amazing to hear that caller talking about corruption in electoral reform. I mean, this guy sit and think it for years and watch this going on and never mumble. Well, I think you should hush, my brother. Damian, I want to touch two things briefly. Liat, and I want these young men to think it's to know, you know, that this country is not going to tolerate sexual harassment with these young girls around this island, you know. And a man told me I bash police, I'm going to bash police, because police got to do the job, you know. So me going to bash police. A man tell me on the police show, me a bash police, well, I'm going to bash IO. I want these young men to know, if there's immigrants, if there's nationals, we is not going to tolerate them kind of abuse in this country. And the next thing, Damian, quickly, with Leah, the government is right in what they're doing. If we say we want a closer link in the region, Leah do so much in the region. I support it 100%. And the Prime Minister is looking for unity across the region. We have a lot of youngsters in this country feel, and big man feel they could trouble the little girls them. And we're not going to tolerate it. Have a good day, Damien. A good weekend.
You too, caller. Thank you so much for your input. That was our last call. We will be taking no more calls as we end our program here this afternoon at 1:30. And just to comment on some of the comments made by a previous caller in regards to the criminal charges that were filed by Dr. Drew, it is my question stands: what is the point of filing the charges? Or let me not say point. What does Dr. Drew plan to achieve, and what does the Labour Party plan to achieve from the filing of these criminal charges? It is no way, or I am in no way trying to say or dub the case as being meaningless or not important or not relevant. But of course, questions must be asked. What does Dr. Drew plan to achieve, and the main objective of filing such a case? That is my question, and I'm hoping to get an answer. Really, really hoping to get an answer. But in no way, I don't think the case is meaningless. I don't think the case is meaningless. Must commend him for taking such a bold step. But what does he plan to achieve from filing criminal charges against his political rival Eugene Hamilton? We are now just seconds away from 1:30, and so we're going to end this program. Thank you guys so much for being a part of Inside the News right here on 1FM 98.9. It was a very interesting and meaningful discussion here today. Earlier this morning, for the first segment, we had Jaheim Llewellyn out of Jamaica, a colleague of mine, and we had Odeon Hillocks, out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, also a colleague of mine who is a teacher, and we were able to have a discussion on how it has been since the onset of the pandemic in Jamaica within the communities, and of course in St. Vincent and the Grenadines within their communities as well. Very interesting topic that we had, or very interesting discussion rather that we had this morning. For this afternoon, we touched on a lot of topics. I think it was probably too much for us to talk about, and definitely we will be doing a follow-up. But the St. Kitts Nevis government writes off $11 million debt. Sexual assault took place in Bastia on Monday, November 30th, right on the heels of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Dr. Drew files criminal charges against Eugene Hamilton, and he's accusing Mr. Hamilton of cheating and bribery. And I think a caller came at the same time, but the Bank of Nevis, the Right Excellent Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel Scholarship, which is now in its 10th year, was awarded to two secondary school students on the island of Nevis from the Gingerlander Secondary School and the Charlestown Secondary School. The scholarship will fund their entire 5 years, of high school. So kudos to the management, directors, and staff of the Bank of Nevis for continuing that vision of improving the quality of life on the island of Nevis. So kudos to them. And then we spoke about our Jamaican people over there and the political confusion that's happening in the People's National Party. A very interesting topic, very interesting discussion that we had this afternoon. I wish we had more time to speak about these topics and get more into these topics and more in depth. But again, thank you guys so much for being a part of Inside the News for Saturday, December 5th, 2020. I was your host, Devon Cornelius, and this will be replayed tomorrow at 12. So stay tuned. Stay tuned, or tune in, rather, sorry, tomorrow at 12 for the replay. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this program. Continue to have a fantastic Saturday. Continue to give thanks. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Have a wonderful Saturday, everyone.
Hello? Jean, you know every time I call you, it's always about something good. What's going on? Well, the TDC retail stores in St. Kitts and Nevis are at it again. Their new stocks have arrived. Really? Yes, new furniture, printers, toys, appliances, electronics, housewares, even decorations, and so much more.